Hello, and welcome to English Easy Voice. Today, we have a special story for you in easy English. My name is Sophia. I am 24 years old. I live in a quiet little town in Illinois, surrounded by fields and familiar faces. From the time I was a little girl, I dreamed of a simple, joyful life. I pictured myself getting married, starting a family, owning a cozy home with a white picket fence, and sharing it all with a kind, loving man. I believed love was straightforward, like in the fairy tales I read as a child. But life has a way of teaching us otherwise, doesn't it? I met Daniel when I was 22. He was 25, tall, with a warm smile that lit up the room. We crossed paths at a mutual friend's birthday party in the summer. The music was playing, people were laughing, and he walked right up to me, introducing himself with a casual joke that made me chuckle. Before the night ended, he asked for my phone number. I hesitated for a second, but something about his easygoing nature made me say yes. The very next morning, my phone buzzed with a message from him. "Hey, Sophia, that was fun last night. Coffee sometime?" My heart skipped a beat, and I replied, "Sure, I'd love that." We met at a quaint cafe downtown, the kind with mismatched chairs, and the aroma of fresh-baked pastries filling the air. We talked for what felt like hours about our favorite movies, childhood memories, and even our dreams for the future. He had this way of listening that made me feel truly seen. After that first date, we started seeing each other regularly. We'd go for long walks in the park, share picnics by the lake, or just sit on his porch swing talking late into the night. He surprised me with little things, like picking wild flowers on his way over or calling just to say good night. He made me laugh until my sides hurt, and for the first time, I felt like I was living in one of those happy stories I'd always imagined. 6 months into our relationship, on a starry evening during a drive-in movie, I turned to him and whispered, "I love you, Daniel." He looked into my eyes, squeezed my hand, and said, "I love you too, Sophia, more than you know." I believed every word. We were inseparable for a full year after that. I worked part-time at a local bakery, kneading dough and decorating cakes, while Daniel fixed cars at the auto shop down the road. Money was tight. We couldn't afford fancy dinners or vacations. But we had each other, and that seemed like enough. We'd dream aloud about our future, painting pictures of a wedding, kids running around and growing old together. Then everything changed. One crisp autumn morning, I woke up feeling off, nauseous and exhausted, like I'd caught a bug. I brushed it off at first, thinking it was just the flu going around town. But when the symptoms lingered, my best friend, Mia, pulled me aside at work and said, "Sophia, have you considered you might be pregnant?" I laughed nervously and shook my head. "No way," I replied, but deep down doubt crept in. That evening, I stopped by the pharmacy on my way home and bought a pregnancy test. Alone in my bathroom, I waited those agonizing minutes, my hands trembling. When the 2 pink lines appeared, my world tilted. I was pregnant. That night, I drove to Daniel's apartment, my mind racing with a mix of fear and excitement. I knocked softly, and when he opened the door, I mustered a smile and said, "I have some big news." He invited me in, and we sat on his worn-out couch. "What is it?" he asked, his tone curious but casual. Taking a deep breath, I blurted out, "I'm pregnant." We're going to have a baby." The room fell silent. He stared at the floor, his face paling. After what felt like an eternity, he muttered, "Are you absolutely sure?" I nodded, showing him the test I'd brought. "Yes, I took it twice to confirm." He ran a hand through his hair and sighed. This isn't the right time, Sophia. I'm not ready for this. Fatherhood? I can barely handle my own life right now." My chest tightened, like someone had punched the air out of me. "But we love each other," I pleaded, tears welling up. "We can figure this out together." He didn't respond, just shook his head and said, "I need some space to think about this." That night, for the first time in months, he didn't kiss me goodnight or hold me close. I drove home in a daze, replaying the conversation over and over. Sleep evaded me. I tossed and turned, worrying about what the future held. The next morning, he left for work early, with a quick, "See you later." But his voice lacked its usual warmth. Days turned into weeks, and slowly the calls stopped coming. My texts went unanswered. My invitations to meet were ignored. Desperate for answers, I showed up at his apartment one rainy afternoon. I knocked repeatedly, but there was no response, even though I could hear movement inside. Heartbroken, I sent one final message. "Please, Daniel, talk to me. We need to figure this out." Hours later, his reply came, "I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry, Sophia. It's over." That was it, the end of us. I collapsed onto my bed that night, sobs racking my body for hours. How could the man I loved abandon me like this? I was carrying his child, alone and terrified. Eventually, I confided in my parents. My mother held me as we both cried, whispering words of comfort. My father, ever the strong, silent type, hugged me tightly and said, "We're here for you, Sophia. Whatever you need, we'll get through this as a family." With their support, I moved back into my childhood home, packing up my small apartment and leaving behind the dreams I'd built with Daniel. As the months progressed, pregnancy took its toll. Morning sickness hit hard, leaving me drained and queasy most days. My belly swelled, and simple tasks like tying my shoes became challenges. I visited the doctor regularly, marveling at the ultrasound screen where I first saw my baby's tiny form and heard the steady thump of her heartbeat. It was a sound that brought both joy and sorrow. Joy for the life growing inside me, sorrow for facing it without a partner. I continued working at the bakery as long as I could, frosting cupcakes and chatting with customers to keep my mind occupied. But the physical strain grew, and I often came home exhausted, collapsing into bed. One stormy night, sharp pains gripped my abdomen. I knew it was time. My mother rushed me to the hospital, holding my hand through the contractions. The nurses were kind, assuring me everything would be okay. "You're in labor," one said. "The baby is coming tonight." Fear washed over me. I was scared of the pain, scared of what came next. But I pushed through, gripping my mother's hand like a lifeline. After hours of labor, filled with sweat and tears, I heard the most beautiful sound, a tiny cry echoing in the room. "It's a healthy baby girl," the nurse announced, placing her in my arms. She was perfect. Tiny fingers, soft skin, and eyes that seemed to hold the world. In that moment, I whispered, "Hello, my little one. I'm your mommy, and I'll always protect you." I named her Ava, after my grandmother, a name that meant life and strength. The early days with Ava were a whirlwind of exhaustion and wonder. She cried often, especially at night, and I barely slept, rocking her in my arms or pacing the floor. Diaper changes, feedings, and soothing her colic became my new routine. There were moments when I'd sit in the rocking chair, tears streaming down my face, overwhelmed by the responsibility. Daniel never reached out. Not a call, not a message, not even to ask about his daughter. I heard through friends that he'd moved on, but I pushed those thoughts away. One afternoon, while pushing Ava's stroller in the park, I spotted him from afar. Our eyes met briefly, but he turned away without a word. Anger bubbled inside me. I wanted to confront him, to demand why he'd abandoned us. But I held back, focusing on the giggling baby in my arms. When Ava was 5 months old, I returned to work at the bakery. My mother stepped in as babysitter, watching her with loving care while I earned our keep. Coming home each evening, my body ached from standing all day, but Ava's smile melted away the fatigue. I'd cook simple meals, pasta or sandwiches, clean the house, bathe her, and read bedtime stories until she drifted off. Life was a constant juggle, but my parents were my rock. Mom would take over when I needed a quick shower or a nap, preparing hearty dinners on tough days. Dad, though quiet, would bounce Ava on his knee, making funny faces that elicited her first laughs. Their help was invaluable. Without them, I don't know how I'd have managed. Money remained our biggest hurdle. The bakery job paid modestly, barely covering essentials like formula, diapers, clothes, and doctor's visits. I skipped buying anything for myself. New shoes, makeup, even a haircut, wearing the same faded jeans and t-shirts day after day. Appearance didn't matter. Ava's needs came first. When she caught her first cold, feverish and fussy, I called out sick from work. My boss grumbled, "Sophia, you can't keep missing shifts like this." I stood my ground. My daughter comes first. She's sick and needs me. He warned me to be careful, hinting at job security, which left me anxious. Losing that income would devastate us. So I worked harder, picking up extra hours when possible. Time flew by in a blur of milestones. Ava turned 1, then 2, her curly hair growing longer and her steps more confident. We celebrated her second birthday with a homemade cake at my parents' house, surrounded by family. One sunny Sunday, I took her to the playground, watching as she toddled across the grass chasing butterflies. That's when I saw Daniel again. This time, arm in arm with a new woman, laughing as they strolled by. My stomach twisted, but I shielded Ava from the sight. She didn't know him. He was a stranger, absent from her life by choice. A few weeks later, good news arrived. A letter from the local housing authority offering me a subsidized apartment. It was small, but ours. A 1-bedroom with a tiny kitchen and a view of the trees. Packing up felt bittersweet, but my father helped load the truck, and we moved in with hope for a fresh start. Settling into the apartment brought new challenges. Mornings started early, waking Ava, dressing her for daycare, which I could now afford with a bit of assistance, rushing to work, then hurrying back for evenings of homework help as she grew, meals, and bedtime routines. Bills piled up, rent, utilities, groceries, and I budgeted every penny, clipping coupons and shopping sales. Some nights, after Ava was asleep, loneliness crept in. I'd sit by the window, staring at the stars, missing adult conversation or a shoulder to lean on. But I never regretted leaving Daniel behind. I craved stability, not fleeting affection. Ava grew into a curious 4-year-old full of energy and endless questions. She loved drawing pictures, singing nursery rhymes, and exploring the world around her. One evening, as we cuddled on the couch reading a book, she looked up at me with wide eyes and asked, "Mommy, do I have a daddy?" The question caught me off guard, my heart pounding. "Why do you ask, sweetie?" I replied gently. "Because at preschool, Emma's daddy picks her up and plays games with her. Do I have one too?" I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. "Yes, you do have a daddy, but he doesn't live with us. He made a different choice a long time ago." She tilted her head, thinking, why didn't he want to stay? It hurt to explain, but I said, "Sometimes people aren't ready for big responsibilities, but that doesn't mean you're not loved. You have me and Grandma and Grandpa, and we're your family forever." She smiled brightly and hugged me tight. "I love you, Mommy. You're the best." In that moment, all the struggles faded. She smiled brightly and hugged me tight. "I love you, Mommy. You're the best." In that moment, all the struggles faded. Looking back on it all, the heartbreak, the sleepless nights, the financial worries, the moments of doubt, I realize how far we've come. I've faced challenges that tested my limits, but they made me stronger. Ava's laughter fills our home. Her curiosity inspires me, and her love gives me purpose. Life as a single mother isn't what I dreamed of as a girl, but it's taught me resilience, independence, and the depth of unconditional love. No matter how tough things get, as long as you hold on to that love for your child, for yourself, you'll find the strength to keep going. Being there every day, watching her grow, makes every sacrifice worthwhile. If you enjoyed this heartfelt story and want more inspiring tales for English listening practice, please subscribe to English Easy Voice, hit the like button, and share it with your friends. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to you.